In today's video, we will be writing paragraph 1 of our research paper. I will model for you by writing paragraph 1 of my research paper on tsunamis. For today's lesson, you will need your note catcher packet, which is here on the left. And as I said in Friday's report, you should have all of your notes filled in this note catcher. The other document you will need is your writing organizer, and it is here on the right. Here is where we'll be putting all of our paragraph writing to complete our research paper. The first thing we're going to do is to write a catchy introduction. Now, this is going to get the reader interested and wanting to read your research paper. I want to tell the reader what my paper is about and get them interested at the same time. So let me try this. Imagine enjoying a day at the beach, making sandcastles, when all of a sudden the water gets pushed back into the ocean like a giant straw is sucking it up. Now, that's an interesting way to explain what the tsunami might be like. Now what I'm going to say is, get up quick. A tsunami is about to hit. Now, this is going to explain to my reader what I'm talking about in my paper, and it's also going to get their interest because they're going to want to read more about the tsunami that's about to hit. So the first important thing to do in your first paragraph is to write a catchy introduction that gets the reader interested in what you want to tell them. And now I'm going to look at my notes on the left and decide which one I'm going to go first and how I'm going to order them to make my paragraph flow. So the first thing I want to do is introduce what a tsunami is. So I'm going to use this detail over here about what tsunami means. So now I'm going to start typing. The first thing I'm going to do is look at my notes that I took on the left here, and I'm going to decide which information I want to use, and sometimes it might be that you might not want to use all of your information. So I'm going to start off by using these two pieces of evidence first. So as I start to type, I'm going to say a tsunami, which means harbor wave in Japanese, is a large wave that begins because of movement in the sea floor. Now, as you can see, what I've done is I have used several pieces of information that I put into my own words. The next thing I want to do is focus on the next bit of information, which is all of the things that cause a tsunami. So now I'm going to begin typing that. Now to continue, I'm going to use a transition word to link my sentences. To explain is my transition word. The seafloor movement can be caused by an earthquake, a volcano eruption, a meteorite, or a big let me move this over first so that I can see it. Okay, maybe fix that. Or a big landslide that goes in or under the ocean. Now, again, my transition word here is to explain. That's linking the next set of sentences. As I continue with my next bit of information, now I'm going to talk about the fact that most of them are on a fault caused by an earthquake, and I'm going to explain what happens. Again, I'm going to look to use so I'm going to begin by using a transitional phrase. Another key detail is most tsunamis occur along, let me fix that, occur along a fault line in the Earth's crust, where there is movement. Now notice I'm taking my notes that I took and I'm rephrasing it into my own words, and I'm also making sure that I'm including those key details. Now I'm going to continue on by saying this movement is caused by the plates crashing, let me fix that, crashing into each other, or let me rephrase that, crashing together and making large forces in the water. Move this sentence over a little bit here. Okay, so now I've put together all of my facts and my details that I have into a coherent and orderly sequence to make it make sense. I have used my notes on the side. I've used transition words. I have used to explain, and I also said another key detail is. Now I'm going to begin my closing sentence. As I discussed last week, our closing sentence should wrap up what the text was about, but it should also lead us into the next paragraph. Now I know that my next paragraph is about the damages that it causes. So I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind down here at the bottom as I'm beginning to write my closing sentence. So at the beginning of my closing sentence, I want to talk about what the summary of the paragraph was and then begin to lead into my next paragraph. I always like to say that I'm saying goodbye to the paragraph I'm in and saying hello to the next one. That's just something I like to remember. So let's begin. I'm going to start off by writing, in conclusion, regardless of how a tsunami is caused, the movement of the seafloor is what causes its large waves to cause so much damage and destruction. I'm going to move it over a little bit first so that you can see it and get it all set up so I can go over with you how I said goodbye to one and hello to another. So if I look carefully here, this first part of my conclusion is, regardless of how the tsunami is caused, the movement of the seafloor is what causes its large waves. Now, that is saying goodbye to the paragraph because that's summing up what that paragraph is about. Now I'm going to say hello to the next paragraph, to cause so much damage and destruction. That's giving the reader a hint that the next thing I'm going to share is about the damage that it causes. Now I'm going to give you examples of transitional words and phrases to be used in different circumstances and in different ways throughout your paragraph. If you want to talk about something that you agree with or add an additional piece of detail, these are the examples that you might want to use as your transitional words. If you want to explain something that is opposite of the detail that you're explaining, these are some possible transitional words or phrases that you could use. If you would like to give another example of more details on what you're trying to explain, here are some possible transitional words and phrases you can use. If you want to talk about the effect of something, which I added because that's going to probably be used in the natural disasters, especially when we're talking about how one event causes another event to happen and the effects of it. So therefore I included examples of the effects that it can have, and here's some example of transitional words. And finally, I included some transitional words and phrases to use when you're beginning your conclusion and writing that, and here are some examples here. So I hope that these transitional words and phrases will help you as you write your paragraph. Please make sure you go back to the video and stop and write down some of these and use them throughout your paragraph. I'll be looking for them when you submit your paragraph. At this time, you will need to stop the video and take out your note catcher. Please fill in the details for paragraph 1 just as I did. Remember to use a catchy sentence in the beginning. Make sure your details are in an order that makes sense. Use transitional words or phrases. Use a strong conclusion that links the paragraph you are writing about to the paragraph that you will be writing next. When you are done, please take a picture of the detail page and insert it into the assignment.